Okay, start webinar. Hi everyone. We're just waiting for some more people to join us. I can see the numbers going up there. Fantastic. We've got a lot of people from the USA on the call today. We've got people in the UK and we've got some people from Canada. Just a few more people joining. And there's a few people, I don't know which countries you're from, but we've definitely got the USA covered, for several people from the USA, several from Canada and the UK. So welcome everybody, and thank you so much for investing in yourself today to come on this video call with myself and Ron Carroll, the top TV producer. Can I just check, could you just give me a quick raised hand if you can hear me and you can see both Ron and me? Excellent. So we are live and we are going. So you all know me probably, Kerry Hopkins. I used to be a TV journalist at ITV News and BBC TV News, but I've also worked in PR for a long time. So I have not only the skills of getting someone on air, but the skills of protecting their reputation as well. But I'm really excited to have the top TV executive, Ron Carroll, with me today. Hello, Ron.
Hey, how are you doing? Hello, everybody.
Now, Ron is he's on the jury for the Emmys. He's won, he's an award-winning TV exec with the British Royal TV Society. He has won awards for the Academy of the Canadian Cinema. I mean, his awards list is like this long. It's actually too long to read out. This is how, you know, senior he is. He's worked on America's Next Top Model, Undercover Boss. Oh gosh, so many top TV shows in the USA and Canada. He's worked with Tyra Banks, Sharon Osbourne, Juz Mathis. He's worked on Be the Boss. He's worked on the British equivalent of Gogglebox, which is the People's Couch. He was also originally started out as a journalist. So Ron, great to have you on.
Well, thanks for inviting me. It's great to be here. And it's good we've got so many people actually from both sides of the Atlantic. And I work in England, and obviously I work in the US and Canada as well. So we're well covered today. It's good.
Absolutely. So guys, what we're going to do is Ron and I are just going to have a quick chat, and we're going to give you some insider knowledge, largely on why people get dropped before the actual interview happens. A lot of people take it personally, and actually we're going to tell you the things that people do wrong, why they get dropped. So if you did those things, it's something you can improve on. But if you didn't do those things, well, I'll come to the reason why you then got dropped if you didn't do the bad things, right? Now this is we're going to get through quite a lot, but obviously it's not going to be every reason, but we'll certainly get through quite a lot. So I will just share my screen because we've got a few notes on there. So we're going to show you why people get dropped. Ron, here he is. I've just introduced him. There he is at the International Emmy Awards. These are some of the familiar faces that Ron's worked with. You'll definitely recognize some of these people. I'm sure you've got Tyra Banks there, Sharon Osbourne, and then some famous people in the UK there. And Ron's worked for all these channels. So again, channels that you will definitely, everybody on this call will have heard of. So Ron, do you want to kick off with what you think makes a bad TV guest?
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually going to give you some examples fairly recently, actually, of people that unfortunately, you know, I had to counsel going on a TV show. Not something that's very pleasant, not something I wanted to do, but I really had to. And so this is my personal list of what I think makes a bad TV guest, because I think if you flip it and you look at, you know, how you can go wrong, it's actually easy then to focus on how you can get it right. The first thing is kind of obvious, but it's an important one, and that is simply to be on time, and preferably, in fact, be 10 minutes earlier. Because I think that as a producer, it's actually very stressful when you've booked a guest for a show and they're running late and you don't know they're running late. So running through your mind is they're not going to turn up. The show's not going to happen. Especially if it's a live show, it's very, very stressful. So be on time. That's critically important. It has a knock-on effect. If you're not on time, then I've got less time to prep you, and that's a two-way street. That prepping is really going through the notes. I'm going to make notes when I book you to do a show, and when you arrive at the studio as a guest, I'm going to go through those notes one by one, just to get you focused, so I know roughly what you're going to say, but also so to get me focused as well as a producer, so I'm clear about what you're going to say and the direction of the conversation. There's nothing worse, and it happens, too often, that you're pushing somebody on screen and you just haven't had enough time to prep them. Everybody's stressed, you're racing around. Don't race around. Give yourself the gift of time, really. Allow yourself to get into the studio.
Yes, absolutely.
And be really focused,
I think Ron has just, unfortunately, looks like he's frozen.
Oh.
Don't know if anybody else has seen that. Has anyone else seen it? Oh, great, he's back. Okay, we got you.
That's good.
Time.
And so arriving on time is quite important. The other thing is to how are you going to dress when you're doing an interview? You might want to look at turn on the TV, look at the TV studio set, perhaps just to get an idea of the color palette. That would be a help. We have a slide here with somebody, which is shocking to me. This was taken last year. I took this photograph from a TV news show, and she's not actually a guest, she's a newsreader, and quite surprising. And she's wearing a top that simply doesn't look good for television. But that's a classic example, an extreme example of what not to wear, because every single time she moved, that top was strobing all over the place, and it made it almost impossible to watch the newscast. But so really that falls down to really to her, because when everybody's running around when you're making a TV show and you're a guest on that show, don't assume that somebody's really going to look after you to make sure that your hair's looking good or your makeup isn't smudged. You've really got to double check yourself before you go on air.
And Ron, what's the main color that you should never wear if you're going into a studio?
Well, there's a little bit more leverage on that now, slightly, now that we're in high definition. But I know at one stage people would say, don't wear white. I'm wearing white. Don't wear white, wear cream because it's too flashy. You can wear white now. I think it's okay. Dark colors, black can look very elegant in real life. But it does.
Actually thinking of green.
Oh, green.
For green screen.
It's just such an odd color, green, isn't it?
It doesn't suit everyone, but you just don't want to merge into that green screen in the background.
You really don't. And of course, it's always a good idea, actually, to if you're a guest on a show, to bring two outfits with you just in case, so you've got options. And you're not knocking in, because they may not have wardrobe. But we've all done TV, Kerry, where they don't have enough wardrobe for guests, or there isn't a wardrobe department because it's a news show. So watch what you're wearing, and I think when you get booked to do a show as well, there's an element of trust. There's an understanding between you as a producer and that guest that's been booked, that you're really going to deliver on what you said you'll deliver on. And sometimes people go on screen and they will have a sort of hidden agenda. And they might, for instance, have let's give an example. They might have a book to plug, which is great. Why would you not want to plug your book if you have a chance on TV? But there's a way to do that. And I think it can be done very conversationally, once only. But when it becomes a very aggressive plugging, It
Mm.
really dominates everything that you've done, and it just leaves a bad taste in everybody's mouth. Think like, oh my God, they weren't that great a guest, and they were just interested in plugging their book. They should have been on QVC, you know.
Yeah.
So just be cautious of that. Now, the other thing as well is being too domineering with the conversation, especially if you are a guest and you're invited onto a news panel show. This happens a lot with Good Morning Britain, and also with CNN as well in the US, where they love their panel shows, and they'll bring in 3 or 4 different guests with different perspectives on a topic. And I think that, with the exception of Fox TV, although even that's getting tiring, where it's the name of the game sometimes to just shout over each other, it makes it very difficult to have a calm, logical debate when people are trying to shout over each
Yeah,
other.
I think that's a really good point, because when I do see that happen, I actually end up just turning onto a different channel. So
Well, it's just noise, Kerry.
you
It
don't want
becomes
that. You don't
noise.
want that to happen to your interview if you're going to be going on TV.
Right, right. So take if the host or the presenter is they're in charge. Let them lead the field there.
Mm.
Don't try and sort of hijack the conversation. The other thing as well is and I've got a couple of examples here. Don't be too demanding. I actually had on one series 2 people I had to take off from the show, and one of them it was really unfortunate because he was an expert at
Mhm.
predicting what's going to happen in the future.
Right.
And he was one of the best people. He started off the conversation and he said, oh, I've appeared with some of the top people. I am $20,000 for half a day. Well, I mean, honestly, on the show budgets these days, that's certainly not going to happen.
No,
But he
definitely
really
not.
wanted to sort of up himself up. But the biggest problem was I was inviting him onto a reality show,
Mhm.
and I think instinctively that wasn't in his comfort zone. And I think if you want to be a guest on a show, what's your comfort zone? Know what you can do and know what you can't do. What are you comfortable with? Are you okay with doing a reality show and being an expert on a judging panel on a reality show? And this particular person asked so many questions that with every question, my alarm bell was getting louder and louder. And I think the parting shot for me was when he wanted to have a copy of the show and full approval of the show. And at that stage, I felt that he's never going to be happy, this person, and he's going to be an absolute nightmare to deal with when he's in the studio. And then I had a case of somebody else who I decided was going to be a nightmare to deal with when we were in the edit afterwards. I
Mhm.
needed an art critic to explain something very simply in a way that's accessible. And unfortunately, the day before we were going to record the show, and I said tape, but we don't tape now, we record, don't we? The day before I was going to record the show, I had to do what's called a pre-interview with her. And that's when I sit down in my laptop, I ask loads of questions and I write everything down, again, to get an idea of, how does she talk? What's the pace? What's the flow? And unfortunately, she said to me, oh, I could send you my notes. And I said, I don't really need your notes. I need to actually hear how you talk for television.
Mhm.
That's really what's going to help me most. She still sent me the notes, and it was quite frankly like reading the Bio Tapestry. So many notes, huge amount of notes. And then when I came to do the actual pre-interview with her, she was not capable of actually being able to do the job, which was to talk about something in a way that made it accessible.
Yeah, man on
And
the street language.
man on the street language or personal, it was just too difficult. And I said to her, look, I don't think this is going to work. She was clearly a very good academic print journalist, but for television, she wasn't right for television. And you have to call those shots, because I
Okay.
just thought, what's going to happen when we get into a studio and you've got production managers and directors saying, come on now, we've got 10 minutes to shoot this, as they do, what's going to happen? And then you get into the edit suite and just a mess to edit.
Absolutely.
So
Okay, so there's a few little insight for you from Ron. And so this is my experience of why people get dropped, or why I might have dropped someone, or why sometimes some of my, well, let me go through them one by one and I'll explain. So there is a thing called a regular drop. It's not a phrase that's well known. I'm just making it up now. But the only time, like, most people get dropped, okay, 10 to 15% of interviews, you will get dropped. The only people that don't get dropped are people like Her Majesty the Queen. She's never going to get dropped. I mean, she doesn't really do TV interviews anyway. But you have to be that sort of level. I mean, really, there's not really anyone higher than that, arguably, to never get dropped. So firstly, don't worry if you get dropped, unless you've done these things. If you've done these things, it's good to know what they are, because then you can maybe stop doing them so you don't get dropped as much. So the first one is, when I was setting up an interview with a journalist, with a PR person on email, so I'd secured the chance for them to, their client, to get an interview with a TV show. And then they wrote back sort of half hour later, it's way too late, really, you need to be straight on it. And they asked lots of questions in there. And I saw it and I thought, oh no, these are questions I could have answered because I've got the knowledge. And of course, the journalist never wrote back and they never bothered to follow up the interview. They just don't have time to be answering all these questions from people. That's why you always see the same people time in, time out on TV, right? Because they're the ones that they just know what they're doing because they've had the experience. So journalists just don't have time to be answering all your questions. So these are the kind of questions you wouldn't ask or you would ask. So the first one is, don't ask what are the questions, because the person that's booking it won't even know what the questions are. And sometimes your answer, you could say something and then the questions that they were going to ask you, well, they're not going to ask now because you've just said something. So they're going to ask you questions on the back of that. At the end of the day, just know the who, what, why, when, where, how of your answer. Know it inside out, of your story rather, and always anticipate curveball questions. So you can really work out what the questions are yourself. I mean, often people ask me what the questions will be, my clients, and I just make them up, and usually they're right. But that's because I'm a journalist. So, but it is quite obvious when you sit and, you can work out what the questions will be. Sometimes, occasionally on programs that are on BBC World, the business program, where there's about 500 to 800 million viewers across the world, they sometimes give you the questions, but don't expect them, don't ask for them, and because they're given on an email. Don't expect them, don't ask for them, and if you do start doing that, you might just get dropped, like what happened in the case of the example I gave you a minute ago. Another one is, don't ask to see the interview before it goes out. This isn't an advert that you're paying for. This is something that's editorial. So don't ask that. Don't ask for a clip either. Again, we don't have, I'm talking as we, when I used to be a TV journalist, we don't have time to be clipping up stuff for people. Okay, occasionally we might do it. Maybe some people don't mind doing it, but the majority of journalists don't like doing it. And you can just pay for a clip, just find a clipping supplier, and that's how you can get the interview. Or you could just record it yourself nowadays, right? You can scroll back on if you're watching it online and just record it yourself with your iPhone. But don't be like, put it in a tripod so it's nice and steady. So yeah, don't ask for clips. Don't ask what the questions are. Don't ask to see the interview before it goes out. And don't ask who the presenter is. Again, the person who's booking it probably doesn't even know who the presenter is. And I mean, it doesn't really matter who the presenter is. You'd only want to know who's interviewing you if it's perhaps a newspaper, so you can read their articles beforehand. But don't ask who the presenter is. Don't ask if it's live or pre-recorded. That's another wasted question, more wasting time. That's just before, when you're in the green room or you're just about to go live, and the actual interview's been booked and confirmed, then you could ask. Now, these are very important, all these things, because if you asked all these things, you're not going to get the interview, you will get dropped. Even if you ask a few of these, you will get dropped. Now, if you've got somebody who's extremely patient, very nice, they might be okay answering them once and answering it once. But I wouldn't hedge your bet. I just wouldn't bother just don't ask these things. Don't don't, what's the word? Don't risk it. Okay, back to you, Ron. So working in TV is fun.
Yes, but there's a flip side to that. I mean, working in TV it is a lot of fun. But as a producer, there's an awful lot that you've got to do, especially if you're doing a live show or a live to record show. It goes back to what you said before, Kerry. If you're a guest on a show, just assume it's live, even if you're a recorded,
Yes.
and it's a reality TV show, and you're an expert on that show. It's still you're still going to have a certain amount of time to film it. You're under the gun. Everybody's on a very, very tight schedule, so it's kind of all like doing live anyway. But
no, that's a good point actually, because some people think, okay, it's not live, it's pre-recorded, that means I can do more than one take. No, you need to get it right first take. That's the mindset you need to get anyway. I mean, if you don't, that's a different story, but that's the mindset that you need to have to get it right first take.
It really is. And, it's, as a producer, it can be a lot of fun, and you should have fun as well as a guest doing interviews, sort of embrace the sort of the moment, really. It's nice to be in a TV studio, and, it's a lot happening, and it's kind of fun. But it can also be kind of organized chaos sometimes as well, because as a producer, you may not be my only guest. I might have 4 or 5 other people that I'm also having to prep, that I'm also having to make sure are okay. And when they arrive at the studio, and that they're being properly, we're going through their notes, that they're comfortable, that they're going through makeup and everything's fine. There's a lot to do. And I get lots of questions coming at me all at once, not just from you as a guest, but also from the host or the presenter of the show, or the director of the show, saying, how are we going to film this? Which was laugh, because it's like,
let's move on to some experts, why they get invited back again and again. We've just got 3 examples here.
Right.
First one is Miriam.
Yeah, I think it's I've got a couple of people here that I personally like as a guest on a show. One of them is Miriam Margolyes, and she's an actress, but she is such a go-to guest. She's on all the late night talk shows in the UK. She's also works daytime as well in Britain, and she's kind of funny because she makes a good guest because she's a great raconteur, beautiful conversationalist. You never know what's going to come out of her mouth. She's, from a TV point of view, she's a little bit risky, actually. She's a little bit dangerous, but she's good dangerous as opposed to bad dangerous.
Boring.
Like a couple of my guy there that was, couldn't, was too demanding. But Mariam, she's always very, she's just fun. She's just a fun person, and the audience love her. They get, everybody on the shows love her as well. The host loves working with her. So she's an example of something that's very good. Joanna Jaru is one of the newcomers, and we're trying now to get more people on to offer a wider range of opinions. She's just a great social commentator, and that's a sort of an all-encompassing kind of phrase, really, when you say that you're a social commentator, because it means actually that you can get on, you've got a greater chance of getting on if you call yourself a social commentator, because you can niche yourself into any topic. And here she is talking about, this latest conversation that people are having about Meghan and claims of bullying. So there she is as an expert, and of course here you've got somebody with a very set skill set here. This is Martin Lewis, who is a financial expert on UK TV. And Martin's great because he can bring very complex financial issues right down to and I mean this in an unapologetic way, pedestrian level, so that we all understand what he's talking about, and he's very accessible. And that's key. If you're a guest on a show and you're an expert, being accessible to a wider possible audience is really important. That's what's ultimately going to get you on a show.
Indeed. And I will say that Martin, he started off as a finance expert on TV, and now I don't know if he's well, I think he's definitely I think he sold his company for 80 million,
Oh,
and
right.
and he really promoted himself on TV as a finance expert. So that's really the big way to make a lot, a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I do think though that people here on this call, because I do broadcast PR, it really is the big one. To get on TV and to get on radio, it's the one that a lot of companies want, but they just don't have the right PR person. They just focus on online and magazines and newspapers, which is definitely very important, but they don't have the skills to do TV. But that's the one that really makes a lot of money for clients, because so many people see you at once. And if you use that content in the right way online afterwards, of which there are specific guidelines that you'd need to know so you don't get in trouble, which I teach on my course, on my coaching program. Um, but one company, they made 1.3 billion extra in 9 months by going on TV so much because they incorporated broadcast PR. That's 1.3 billion US dollars, which is 1 billion pounds. And I don't know what that is in Canadian, but you'll know what it is in US dollars. And even if you're not a big company like this one, even if you're one person, to make a few thousand, to make a few 100,000, to make 1 million, to make a few million extra by going on TV, it's just incredible, right? Because your sales opportunities will increase. So you might be able to achieve though this as well for yourself if you have the right training, the right counsel, and the right trainers. So this is the actual spreadsheet that I put together for that company I've just mentioned who made 1.3 billion. These are the sort of results they were getting. Half hour as a panel guest on a show, half an hour, that's loads. Down here, 45 minutes they were speaking on BBC Radio, 45 minutes off and on. If you were to buy an advert for 45 minutes, that would cost, well, I don't know what it would cost. In fact, some of these opportunities you can't even buy because you can't advertise on the BBC in the UK. You can in other countries advertise on the BBC. So this is, such good value for money. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's great that everyone's come on this call, and some people on this call, they already are going on TV. So maybe they only need a little bit of tips here and there because they've been doing it forever. But there's some people on this call now, or maybe they've been doing it on one show and they want to get on other shows. There's some people on this call tonight, they've never been on TV, or they haven't been on for 2 years or for 1 year. So really, like, this is to me a starting point. Listening to Ron with his incredible experience. Obviously, I've got great experience as well. But if you really want to go further, then you need to invest in yourself. Have to invest in yourself and your company in order to achieve these sort of results. Um, so, yeah, look, Dr. Roberta Babb, she's a psychologist. She worked with me for 2 weeks and she was on BBC 10 o'clock news and BBC TV news channel. As a direct result of going on TV, she had an 800% increase in sales inquiries. I mean, that is absolutely loads. But you'll never get what you want by looking at everybody else to see what they're doing, what if someone else has, unless you're going to do it. So here's another one. I think Naomi's on this call tonight. Naomi's on this program that I've started because before I used to get people on TV and radio, but now I train them to get themselves on TV and radio, giving contacts away in some cases as well. Tips like what Ron and I have just given you, giving one-liners that can actually change the chance of you succeeding or not. Because just the amount of knowledge between me and Ron is just, well, I've got 20 years, Ron's got a similar amount. And Ron is also teaching. I mean, I've got people in the USA and Canada. In fact, I've got people in about 100 countries across the world. But Ron's also teaching the US and Canada side of things as well on this program.
Mm.
So here's Naomi. She's a psychologist as well. She's given the program 10 out of 10 and 5 stars for content, relevance, ease of use, and approachableness. It's great to be on the program and benefit from Kerry's specialist knowledge. She delivers in a warm, engaging manner and gives real examples. I'm really enjoying being coached on the program by Kerry. I love the website platform, the fact that videos are different lengths. And some of the videos I can just watch, which means I can multitask, which is a great use of my time. Let's look at someone else. So clients make a profit on investing in broadcast PR in their sales. So for instance, I'm on a course in the USA for online courses. I've spent several $1,000s, well, more than that actually. But the main thing is it doesn't really matter even if it costs me $1 million. If I get a return on investment that's 3 million or even 2 million, it's worth spending. So the main thing is that whatever you spend, that you get a return on investment by going on TV, using that content online properly. It can be the gift that keeps on giving. And also, it's not like an advert where it's a one-time thing and you spend a lot of money. You learn a new skill that's going to work for the rest of your life. You're like, oh, I need some more sales. I better go on TV, right? I better up my profile again. And it's not like a match that's going to burn out like an advert. It's a new skill. In fact, you could even become a broadcast PR person. You'll learn so much. This guy here, only a few thousand people knew about him. And then tens of millions of people saw his brand within 2 months of working with me. He got on national TV and radio 9 times in month 2. And I remember he had 1,000 messages and even fan mail sent to him. And his website increased by 4,000%. And he got more sales inquiries as a result. Bill Gates. I used to work for Bill Gates. His famous saying is, if I had $1 left, I'd spend it on PR. So what are you spending at the moment? Are you spending a lot of money with Facebook ads? Are you spending money on Google Click? What are you spending at the moment to promote yourself and your company? Have you even thought that you could go on TV and radio? I will say you need 5 years experience in that field of expertise to be considered an expert. So if you don't have that, you have to get the 5 years really first before you can be considered an expert. But it's definitely a way to raise your profile. Gillian, I think Gillian's on the call tonight. Gillian's on my program. She's an archaeologist and historian. I'm really enjoying being on the coaching program and the course. I'm looking forward to sharing my ancient history and archaeology knowledge to millions of people via the power of TV and radio. I mean, how cool is that? Just getting access to this huge number of people, at once. I mean, that's just when it actually happens and you're getting on TV and radio, you've got to be really humble about it in a way. Got Catherine. This is my last testimonial here about the course. I'm currently on a coaching program. I give it 5 stars. I've found the small suggestions really help me and motivate me. And the bespoke ones that Kerry gives me and the ones in the videos, my confidence has increased since I started the course. I love the website platform, the on-demand part of the course it's delivered on, and I love the images used. And the thing I like most is that it actually feels real. And Catherine's a skin expert. She's a beauty business coach, been working in the field for 30 years. So obviously, the first thing is actually, well, there's not really the first thing, but you do need to have some sort of show reel or presentation reel. So if that's something that you would like, email that email address there. And that's something Ron and I could help with. So
television, Kerry, what increasingly now, when you're actually trying to pitch in some talent, I do it myself sometimes when I have a show and I've got somebody that I think would be a great host. They're always saying, can I see what they look like? So that presentation reel now is almost, it's like it's your calling card basically. And it's something that you can do for yourself it's another gift that keeps on giving in a sense, because you can take it to a broadcaster and they're really clear then about who you are and your skills as an expert.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. A lot of them won't book you in if you've not got a show reel. what they'll do is they cut and paste the name and then put it into YouTube. So whatever you've got on YouTube, that'll come up. They'll check you on LinkedIn. So definitely, I always send a showreel link when I'm trying to get when I used to get my clients on air. So what I offer now is a 3-month sort of training. Well, it's really, do you want to change your life? Do you want to have a different kind of lifestyle to the one you've got now? Clearly, getting on TV and radio means that you're not going to need to do all that marketing as much as, you're not going to need to be messaging people on Facebook, calling them, doing ads, LinkedIn as much as you are, because once you get on TV and radio enough times, then the opportunities start coming to you. You won't need to be as proactive in the marketing. You'll get sales inquiries coming through. Right. So if you want to learn how to, get on TV, learn to pick the phone up, sell yourself in, learn the ins and outs, learn how to be a great guest, learn all the different stories that you could comment on. For instance, just because you're a psychologist, it doesn't mean you can just talk on mental health stories. You could be, there's all sorts of things you could be that you could comment on, you could be a single dad. You could comment on stories like that. All sorts of things. Maybe you've been affected by the coronavirus pandemic and lost some of your clients. You could comment on stories like that. So you can work out which stories can you comment on. It'll be a lot more than you think. How you can approach it. Some cases I give direct line phone numbers away as well, which are very important. Absolutely so important, getting a direct line phone number. So really, it's about how to react to breaking news stories, what to do, and then how to react to planned diary stories, how to find out what stories are coming out so you can even put yourself forward. And try to become the go-to expert that the media use. They usually use about 3 people in the same field, trying to become one of those 3 people. And that is something that I teach for 3 months. It's online, so anywhere in the world, anyone in the world can do it. And it's videos mainly, and access to a forum online. Then also 2 coaching calls a week where you can share your screen and say, Kerry, this is an email that I want to send. Do you think this has got the right headline even so that the journalist even opens it? Do you think this angle is newsworthy enough? And then I would work with you on things like that. But it's not just 3 months by SIA after the training, it's then an additional 9 months. So we can really hold your hand so that when you're about to get on air, you've got an interview booked in, we can make suggestions, or when you've actually done the interview, we can give feedback and say, look, I think this part's really good. We could improve it for this part. Have you now thought about going for this kind of media now? So it's actually a whole year, the whole thing. So really, it's not just training you, it's actually holding your hand and seeing the success along the way. And also, we also promote you as well on our social media platforms. So I'm just going to put a link now to send that to everybody. Just sent that link. So basically what that is for the next 3 days, I'm doing a promotion where you will get several $1,000s off the price. So the clock starts ticking actually after the Q&A. So just in a minute, you're going to be able to ask me and Ron any questions you want in relation to television and radio, PR, broadcast PR. So definitely use that time, because both Ron and I charge a lot of money per hour, and we're just giving this away for free. So do ask. So yeah, but I'm doing this promotion for the next 3 days. Okay. And there's a link there that if you want to transform your life, and you want to save several £1,000s, but really you'll get it back anyway. You'll get a return on investment pretty quickly because of the marketing tips that I'll be giving on the course. Yeah, I mean, it's actually not just about TV. I give tips on other things as well about general marketing. So there's a link there. You will save several $1,000s. The sale finishes on Saturday night. Now, I do urge people that do want to get on TV to take advantage, to take that step, because a lot of people don't realize they've got what journalists are looking for. They don't realize it. They don't think they're good enough. they never even thought about it. And actually, sometimes what I find is I'm saying to people, you will be good on TV. You're the kind of person I would have called, but I hadn't thought it. So there's actually no risk in this because I do give a 7-day money back guarantee. So if you buy it, you use it for 7 days. You actually decide, I don't want to go any further with this because you don't like it, which has never happened to me. As you can see, the testimonials that I gave earlier, everyone's saying they love it. 5 out of 5, 5 stars, 10 out of 10. I've never had that, but like I'm saying, no risk. I'm not desperate for the money. I will give 7 days and you can have your full refund. So there's no problem there. So I do urge people to have a look at that link and to sign up. It'd be great to get more people on TV from this new course and coaching program to transform your life. So I'll send that link as well on an email afterwards, but do cut and paste it because that's the one that's going to get you several thousand off the price. On Saturday night, the price is going right up again. So and you can pay the bigger, you can sign up on Monday if you want and pay several thousand extra. That's fine. But I don't think people need to do that. So now let's do a Q&A. So if you just want to ask your questions in the chat box, to just say to me or Ron, and we will answer those for you.
And it can be about anything.
While those questions, sorry, one sec. Yeah, while those questions are coming in, this is just the link that I've sent you. Yeah, three days. You've got until to get several thousand off. And there's a Q&A here if you've got any questions. There's also a price for people in the USA and Canada because you won't pay tax. So make sure you click on the right one not to pay tax. But if you did, I'll just give you the 20% back anyway. Okay, right.
That's a good
Ron, what were you going to say? What were you going to say, Ron?
There's a good question there, actually.
Yeah.
It simply says this: what's a good way to prepare for what you want to say? The thing is the danger is to over prepare. It really is. One of the things that I think it's really having 3 or 4 key talk points, at least as a starter, so you've got a rough idea of what you want to say. The biggest danger you can do is to over rehearse, and then it just doesn't feel genuine. And also, as well as a producer, I'm very aware when I feel that somebody's being over prepped for a show, and it's like they've got it. I'm going to leave them alone, So, but you can be your own worst enemy and kind of keep on going over and over and over in your mind. What should I say? Should I say that word? Should I do that? And then you start to edit yourself, and that's a dangerous thing to do. So just have a starting point, maybe 3 or 4 key things that you might want to say in your interview. And remember,
for me, Ron, though, I will just interject on that because I do train people if they're doing the 12-second soundbite when you're in a reporter's VT to remember that verbatim. But I think you're talking about more your 2-minute live interview, aren't you? So I do recommend people learn verbatim a 12-second slot, it's called.
For news type shows.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, preparation is absolutely key. What you don't want to do is leave that interview and go, oh God, they were such an inane interviewer. They never even asked me XYZ. You've got to bridge and get your main point out, the first answer, because they might drop the interview because something big might happen, if it's a breaking news channel. So what else have we got here? So we've got Gillian asking, the archaeologist, what do you as a producer ideally want to see in a presentation reel? Well, I'll answer part of that and then you answer the second part, Ron. I personally, the first 4 seconds of that presentation reel, they're going to make or break you. I've worked it this morning and we literally, actually one guy, they turned it up. They knew after 2 seconds he wasn't right. So make sure your first answer is the best answer, like the one there's no time for warming up. You want your best answer at the beginning of the reel. In fact, just ditch anything that's not 100% amazing. So I want to see people talking for a long time so that I know that they can talk for 30 seconds without it being edited, right? Because that's like that means that they can do a live. So I want to see them for 30 seconds doing a sit down interview, looking to the side or into the camera. And then I might just want a 12-second soundbite as well. That's what I'd like to see. What about you, Rom?
Well, that was interesting that what you just said, because one of the things that I look for as a producer is, and I literally do mean this, can they string a sentence together? Because if I find on a presentation reel that somebody's being edited
Mm,
at such a rapid rate, then I wonder, how coherent are they if you actually put them in a live studio situation? So that would, for me, that would raise alarm bells if somebody was being over edited.
yeah.
Um, but a presentation reel is really a great device to showcase your expertise, but also your personality as well. Don't be anybody else, be yourself. And it's very easy to say that. It's hard to do sometimes, because people say, well, I
Mm.
like that presenter, maybe I should be like them. And I think you've got to really go back to you and market you for you.
Yeah, I mean, what I advise people is be themselves, but be a better version of themselves. So, I mean, frankly, if they're really monotone and boring, then I would train them to be more exciting. Because let's face it, right? Like I could just talk like this right now. Hi, everyone. I really, really happy to be here. I'm so glad that I am here now talking to you from all over the world. Or, I that's some people actually like that. Not a lot, but some people. So I would train them to be a better version of themselves by intonating every few words and, moving the head slightly, moving the hands as well. As you can see already, what I'm doing now is a lot more interesting than the way I did it before. So definitely get the training to make yourself a better version of yourself, particularly if what you're doing is not really getting any traction because you're being too much of yourself. But I think, Ron, what you also mean is because yours is slightly different to mine. Mine's mainly TV news and current affairs type shows, right? Yours is more
Maybe
showbiz.
an expert on
So
maybe
you don't want
reality
people to be
stuff.
too over the top
A little bit more
sometimes.
showbiz.
Yeah. All right, got so many questions coming in. So let's have a look at this one. So I'm not sure how to Oniina. Great to see you. We've been chatting on Twitter, haven't we? Um, Thanks so much for a great presentation. If someone can't afford the course right now, where is the best place to start? Well, I would probably say this place is the best place to start and to do a payment plan with me. So we can have a chat about that if you'd like. What I don't want is people that can't sort of achieve the dream because of money. So we can see if I can come up with something for you over a course of, a certain period of time. So we'll have a chat about that separately. I know you're scheduled in to talk with me, so perhaps we could talk about it then, or move it forward to Friday maybe, so you can take advantage of the special offer. Jean Cirillo, is it Italian? I
It's
think it's Cirillo rather than Cirillo if it's Italian.
Cirillo. I know that it's Cirillo. Hello,
Oh,
Jim.
is it Italian? So Jean says, what if you have much experience, but it's seen as too much exposure on a program that had a lawsuit from before they had you on? What do you mean by a lawsuit? Like against, I'm not quite sure, and the
I,
lawsuit against you, or do you know, Rom?
Yeah, I do actually, because I've actually worked with Jean.
Yeah.
Jean is a very well known psychologist, and she was a regular. Actually, Jean, now I'm going to use you as an example. Jean was a great guest on the show, and you know why you were great, Jean? Because you were low maintenance. You know how crazy it is doing US talk shows, and uh, I could always leave you to just do your own thing in the green room and then prep you before you went on. And it was always a quick prep as well to go through a couple of things. You were a delight to work with. And I know you've since gone on as well to be, I think this is correct, I hope it's correct, to be an expert with MTV and the shaping of their shows as well. But there was a a lawsuit that was ultimately quashed in the US with one of the shows about 15 years. What am I talking about? More than 15 years ago.
Oh, what? And Jean was a guest on a show that had a lawsuit against it for something they did, but Jean didn't do anything.
Correct. Yes.
Oh, well, Jean, I would say then that's not. Why I don't see why that would be a problem to you. Like, did you say or do something that was part of the lawsuit? No. Yeah, I think that's fine. Look at Piers Morgan. He goes from strength to strength. That guy goes from one crisis to the next. I don't think it matters. I think if you're good and you've got the connections, which I give away on my course, not all of them, but I have to get permission first, you see. But like, I'm a BBC partner. My company's a BBC partner, so I just say to them, "Can I give these contacts away?" And they're like, "Yeah." Same with ITV. I've got other contacts as well that I give away, and then that gets you through the door quicker, especially if you say that you know me. Not gets you through the door quicker, actually. It opens the door.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I would say actually no. I'd say decide which program you want to go on, then go for it. What do you think?
Yeah, and also as an expert as well, to be blunt about this, Jean, you have this beautiful New York accent that plays so well to Britain as well, and I think that you could be an expert. If somebody's doing a documentary, you should be pitched in as an expert. For that. But it was, that particular show happened. It was such a long time ago.
Yes, people won't even know about it. Like, not
very,
everyone's going to know about it.
yeah, it's very cyclical, and I feel that this could be a good time actually for you to get back on screen, because I know you've been working a lot behind the scenes on shows.
Now's the time for women as well. Big women, like not big women. I mean, big time for women. So
Personality.
if you're big as well, it doesn't matter. But that's the thing, you see. My partnership with the BBC, it's because they want 50% men on and 50% women. It doesn't mean that everyone you talk to is going to want you because you're a woman, but there's more openness to it, and actually some of the producers definitely would want you more because you're a woman. So that's another thing. God, we've got so many questions coming in. Okay, so I've got another one. Dawn says, hello and thank you. You say white and green are not good colors to wear, but what are good colors? Really, any other color, that's it. Just don't wear green because you'll fade into the set. So let's see here. Question from Julia in Canada. Hi, Julia.
Hello, Julia.
Hello, Julia in Canada. Where do you live in Canada, Julia? Because where did you live, Ron? Was it Toronto? Yeah. I have a client who wants PR done for you service. Do you have that offer? Ooh. Does she want to get on UK, US, or Canadian TV? I do the odd bit of done for you now, but it is very expensive. So, I mean, there's still benefit from going on the program anyway, because I teach people how to be great experts. So, I think I'd need to know a little bit more before I can quote. So Sam, hi Sam. Sam is a barrister, but now she trains other barristers and lawyers. She's from London, and Sam now lives in Florida, which I don't blame her given the weather. Sam says, I know you said it was a 3-month course, but how much time per week do you have to invest? So that's a good question. Really, how much time do you have to give, Sam? So one of the time saving things that I do on the videos from week 4 onwards that I realized, actually, some people could be cooking at the same time, so they can just listen to me. They don't need to be watching the video, or they could be clearing out the closet or driving. So what I do now is I say to people at the beginning of each video, this is a video that you can listen to as an audio file. This is a video that you're going to need to watch because I'm showing you examples on screen. So that's definitely a good time saver. But I would say, how much time do you want to give it? At the end of the day, you have to invest something to get to the goal, right? But if you're really busy one week with clients or you're ill one week, it doesn't matter because it's on-demand training. So you could take the whole year to do the 3-month part of the training. you could take the whole year if you want. Like the course in the US, I'm still on week 4, but I've already massively got a return on investment by week 4. And there's 9 weeks there, but I've been on week 4 for months, but I do need to finish it. You will get access to the course like forever, as long as my company's going. So you can keep looking at that 3-month material forever. So I'd just say, how much time do you want to put in? You can put as much time or as little time as you want, but just keep doing it as much as you can, obviously, every week if you can. If you need to take 2 weeks off, that's fine. You won't be behind, because the coaching part is specific to you, your exact questions to me. So yeah, I hope that. So let me know, how much time do you have to invest, Sam? How much time do you have to invest in the course per week? Okay, got another question here. Actually hard to read these. Oh, here we go. Fergus Smith. Hi, Fergus. Fergus is from near Fargo land. Have you seen Fargo, Ron? He's from.
No, I actually
Oh,
have.
it's this amazing American TV show, and it's also a film as well. Yeah,
Right.
he's from quite near there, but he doesn't speak like that though. Um, in my case, the only out of bounds question is something aimed at proprietary information. Ah, yes. Fergus is an inventor. Do I evade this on the fly or warn the producer beforehand? Everything else is fine.
Oh, I don't. Yeah. So do I? So if you
Fergus, can I tell what kind of presenter you are? Just let me know. To tell you what, write in the chat box whether I can mention what kind of presenter you are, and then we can answer it properly for you. Yes. Okay. So Fergus has come up. I can't quite remember the exact details, but he's come up with this like amazing formula sort of thing to do with casinos and gambling. You might be better off saying exactly what it is. So clearly it's something that helps people win more money. Sports betting. Is it software, Fergus? So that's what he means by proprietary information. What do you think, Ron?
So correct me if I'm wrong then, Fergus. So you'd wonder if you were invited onto a show to talk about casinos, for instance, and coming out of COVID and people going back into casinos in Vegas, as an example. Would you want to sort of guide that conversation to start talking about your invention, your sports betting? Am I right? So you'd kind of you'd want to mention that if you were asked to talk about casinos, you'd want to sort of seg it into promoting your sports.
It's a mathematical model that predicts football matches. Can you see these questions coming in, Ron?
Yes, I can.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Yeah, I would say, look, people have got top secret stuff all the time when they're doing interviews, haven't they? That they don't give away. I think actually media training for you would be best, Fergus, one-on-one media training. So yeah, he agrees. So I do media training as well. I've media trained celebrities, regular folk, and CEOs of NASDAQ companies.
It seems to me as if if you have something to do with sports betting, it needs its own big launch rather than to be quietly integrated into an interview about casinos.
You need media training, Fergus, because yours is controversial. So just say get media training, which you can do with me or anybody else. Okay, I've got loads of other questions coming in. Momtaz Begum Hossein. Hi. If I want to approach a TV program myself, who is the person job title I should pitch to? Honestly, Momtaz, that is such a big question. That's what I train on my course. Like, because some people think I know so and so at Sky. Seriously, that is not enough. Sometimes when I'm getting people on TV, I have to speak to 5 or 10 people. Really? Like 87,000 journalists in TV and radio, and that's in the UK. The US will have way more because you've got loads of TV channels over there, more than us. So that is really what I teach, the ins and outs in the course. So it's just it will literally take me hours to teach you the full knowledge that I've got on that. And my results are incredible. I get people on TV like 100 times. And I've got people all over the world, even on one interview at once, syndicated across the world. So you are with the right people, but it's such a long answer. I can't answer it right now. It would just take me hours. That's how complicated TV is in a way. Like if you really want to make it and make that kind of money I was mentioning earlier, and that's not from TV appearances, that's from the increase in sales. Yeah, you can make money off TV appearances, but it's not going to be as big as your sales on your company. So you really have to get the proper training. I just want to go back to Jean. She says that she's been blackballed, her and the presenter. But what do you mean, Jean? How, like, are you trying all TV stations? And why do you think you're blackballed? Like, are you trying all the stations, or is just one that's told you you're blackballed? I think I need a bit more detail on that one, because I can't believe every TV station wouldn't want you just because you were a psychologist on a show that had a lawsuit that you had nothing to do with. Okay, next question. So, Onyeni, do you think this is a big question though, this one, but she's saying that do you, either of you have advice on how to manage polarizing topics, for example, racism? I have found watching the interviews quite hard because everyone is doing what you have told us not to do, shouting over each other. Again, I think that would need proper media training. To be honest, I would say
Yeah,
get media training with that.
yeah. Gary,
It's a big
a lot
topic.
of
One of
people
my
working.
clients goes in the metro every month and on TV talking about it. She's also black. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely newsworthy.
Mm.
So
Things get very loud though sometimes in interviews, and people are walking out now on interviews, aren't they, live on air? And I don't think that's a particularly great thing to do, because you kind of lost the battle once you walk out of a TV studio. And you know, we've had that happen with a host today, yesterday. Um, no, it's a tricky one, that, isn't it? About the temperature of the interview, and
yeah, well,
I,
we'll teach. Sorry,
that's
Ron, I didn't realize you.
that's what the
Sorry.
teaching's for, really, isn't it? You know, I mean, Kerry, coming from a news background, when you know you're very good at sort of, it really does come down to temperature. Having people understand, you know, the approach that you're going to be, you know, if it's a panel show, how you're going to do that interview. Still get the information across, but you know, you've got to match the other two people.
Yeah,
If it's a
I'll
3 hour.
teach you to be cool, calm, and collected. I
Right.
mean, whatever you think of Piers Morgan, his doorstep today, like, okay, forget the words he used, but like he was cool, he was calm, he was collected. He's in the middle of a crisis. I'll teach you how to be like that, where you're like, yeah, I've got the next big thing happening now anyway. This is Piers Morgan. I think everyone knows that he's quit. Again, I think media training for you. So, sorry, I can't say your name because I've never seen Onyeni. Onyeni. You'll have to teach me how to say your name. But she helps, she trains people, so she's an education expert. And I think, yeah, it'd be great to work with you. So definitely, I think you should bring your call forward and try and do it with me on Friday or tomorrow if you can, so we can discuss these questions that you've got. Okay, next question, Patricia Wagner. Isn't Wagner, the people that were on that popular show in America years back? Hi, Kerry and Ron. It's amazing to be part of this meeting tonight. Is the 3-month course for everyone who wants to be on TV, or just for experts who have at least 5 years experience in their field? Well, I would say that to be classified as an expert, if you've only got like 1 year's experience, it's not really seen as an expert. You know what I mean? Like, to be an expert, you need really 5 years experience. I mean, this 5 years thing was the, you know, formula was given by my professor of TV journalism. I used to do a master's in TV journalism, and she told me, we'd be like, well, how much experience do you need to be a TV expert? And she's like, well, we usually say it's about 5 years worth of research in that field. So even if 3 years we're doing a degree in that field and 2 years working it, that could still be okay. But I think if you haven't got 5 years experience, you can't really be an expert in something. So yeah, I would say you definitely need to be 5 years, but even if that includes perhaps a doctorate or something like that. Do you have 5 years experience, Patricia? And what kind of area do you work in? You know, what is your field of expertise? Kevin Buckler from South Africa. He now lives in Wales. Thank you for the awesome and informative webinar. Well, thank you, Kevin, for joining us. Do you think you'll be joining us on the course at all? What other questions have we got here?
We've done Fergus, haven't we, Jean?
So Sam, how much time have you actually got to invest in yourself to actually, Sam, you could even learn this and then train your ladies how to do it as an upgraded version of your course. Because Sam trains female lawyers and barristers. How much time do you have to do this, Sam? She just said, sounds like a great program. Has anybody got any more questions? I think we have gone through them all. I'd love to know what Patricia does. I'd say for you though, Jean, I would just try some new options, like, do you need to just get on US TV? You can get on TV in the US and go across the world if you're on BBC World, CNN. I just can't believe the whole TV industry is
Yeah, and I think as well in the UK, as I said, if you're looking for, if you're filming something, a British TV show would snap up somebody like you as an expert. I'd have thought, again, unapologetically, because you've got that really beautiful.
That's another thing. Yeah, we in Britain, we have loads of American people, from
Mhm.
America going live to the UK, and it's vice versa as well. So you'll see a lot of British people on TV in the States. So this is like daily. And
Yeah,
sometimes people in America who actually were celebs in America, and then they sort of went off the radar. They went on British TV to get their fame back, and then they were then famous in America again.
right.
So it does work. It's a good strategy. So
You
that's
know,
good.
I know people who quite well known in British celebrities that bounce across the continent. But bounce across. They're in Britain one moment, then they're not so hot. So then they go over to the US, then they go over to Australia, then they come back again, and it keeps everything fresh as well.
Yeah.
It's a good. I think it's you've just got to think globally now as well, as opposed to just locally. And there's always a demand for expert opinion, especially in terms of psychologists, because we're all desperate to understand ourselves more than ever, I think now. And there's a lot more.
Yeah. Every week you get a psychologist on TV.
All the time.
Like so big for psychologists. So I'm really glad that on my course I've got two psychologist clients at the moment actually. Naeem is a crime psychologist, criminal psychologist.
Oh,
Pretty exciting, isn't it? And then she also works with high performers in business as well. So Sam's saying that she could commit to the program, she could put enough time in it. And yeah, I do think you could then train your lawyers to be getting on TV, Sam. Well, obviously I'd love to have you as a client, Sam, because legal, it was the second most searched for word on my database of experts by journalists. I've still got it, but I don't focus on it a lot now. But CEO, technology are the first, and then law stroke legal is the second. Massive, so many chances to go on TV as a lawyer or a barrister. I mean, there was even a lawyer on the back of the Meghan interview the other day picking what Harry and Meghan were saying out like it was a courtroom, like things were adding up. Like there's so many chances for lawyers to go on TV. Again, like psychologists every single week. So I'd definitely love to have you on board and save a few thousand and save some money by doing the promotion.
Jean, you're doing double duty there now. If you're
I think Jean could do with our help, to be honest. Seems stuck in the past, or like, is it at this bottleneck a little bit? I think we could help her open that up. Give some new opportunities for her. Oh, great. So you're an attorney now. Oh my God. Like, that's good, isn't it? And also attorneys are very good with language and words, and they're really careful what they say, but the way they explain things, it's kind of like journalists in a way, but maybe,
it's
yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's that sort of very
yeah.
careful, very considered. And that so viewers can understand them and don't forget this isn't just about TV, this is about radio as well. I help people get on radio. Radio is massive, but today we're just talking about TV. Radio's got millions of people listening to it. Okay, so what else have we got here? So Sam's asking, do TV people shop for guests with certain opinions and expertise? Yes, especially if it's a double header. So, like, say Ron's interviewing me and I'm an attorney with someone else, we would have polar opposite opinions. Yeah, and also particularly if it's political, then they would get two opposite opinions, two opposite voters. So, absolutely, yeah, definitely. But sometimes we don't always know what we're looking for opinion wise until we hear it. So we could go, oh, we need a guest on this. And then they'll tell us something. And then that line's not been used anywhere else. And we're like, we've got to get this person on because this is different to what everyone else is saying. So if your opinion and your line is something no one else is saying. So one of my clients couldn't break onto TV at one point a few years ago. She got in the papers first. So that gave her the credibility to then get on TV. You don't have to do that, but that's one way. Then she said something that was so different to all the other finance experts that they got her on. And then that led to her getting a monthly slot, right? Can you imagine? Like you're booking in a monthly slot for 45 minutes. I mentioned it earlier. And then what happens is you're coming out the radio studio and then the TV go, oh, I want you on 1 o'clock news. And then another big radio show is like, oh, the finance experts in that studio, let's get her doing the slot at 8 a.m. in ours. So it literally then just takes off. That's how it can work. Don't think it's going to work though after one interview. You've got to do loads. But it can take off like that after several months. It really can. But you have to put the work in. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to get anywhere by looking at everyone else, what they're doing. You've got to do it yourself. So
Hey,
it's like just basically do it. That's what my old professor used to say. Just do it. Like just feel the fear and do it anyway.
Patricia,
Okay, so
I love that Patricia calls herself a success coach. I've not heard that phrase before. I've heard lifestyle coach. Success
success
coach is
coach,
great
TV
branding.
producer, professional singer and actress. Whereabouts in the world are you, Patricia? I just don't fit into one box. That's the thing. I have a very powerful story which I have overcome, which is huge. I help people from all backgrounds redefine themselves to become high performers. Oh, you need to talk to Naomi Murphy, Dr. Naomi Murphy, one of my clients. That's what she does. Giving them the right strategies and tools to succeed so they can create the big impact. Well, I would say from failure to authority is launching soon. Yeah, you definitely need to be talking to Naomi. What makes me stand out is what I've overcome. Well, I mean, look, it sounds like, you need a call, maybe a video call with me where we could go through all the different areas and then work out what we can focus on. Because like I said earlier, you don't have to be just talking about one thing. You can talk about a few. So I don't know, like one example is there's a finance expert that goes on air and not. She's actually now a finance presenter. This is how it can lead. It can lead you to getting your own show. It can lead you to presenting your own show if you're really good. It can lead you to being invited to, give awards away at awards ceremonies. Like a historian in the UK. She was originally just going on TV talking about history now and again. Now she's giving away and speaking at the British Museum, giving awards away. Now she's even got her own TV show. Now she's always commentating on the royal family. I mean, it just takes off. And obviously a lot of those are paid opportunities. But the finance expert that I was talking about, she she was going on TV to talk about finance. Then one day she had this bad experience at this pop concert. I can't remember what it was now. But then she was just going on TV talking about that, and she was on 4 times that day, plus the radio. Again, that raises her profile. And now she's got her own radio show. So I think we'd need to chat really, Patricia. If you want to book, I'll send you a link to book in a video call with me. We'll just see what you've got. that we could pull out, really.
Mm.
I mean, also, I do show people how to get their own story on air as well. That is, again, another method. There isn't as many chances to do that though, but I can help you make it newsworthy enough, um, or tell you I could tell you how to make it more newsworthy. But if I think there's no chance, then there'll be no chance. But you can always make things more newsworthy with the right advice. So that's another thing that I teach on the course, how to get your own story on radio and TV, plus how to promote yourself as an expert. So the company that I mentioned earlier that made £1 billion in 9 months, they only, I think about 5 of those 100 interviews was their own story. The rest of it, she was going on as a finance expert. So you don't even need to get your own story on air to be going on air and making loads of money. That's the thing. So you'll learn how to plug yourself though on my course, to make it work for you. You know, you don't just want to be going on and it doesn't work for you. So I can help you there as well. I'll send you my link to my calendar, Trisha. What do you have to? Has anyone got any more questions?
I'm just going to scroll down and see who else, just in case you missed somebody here.
Yeah, so many questions. It's great.
Thank you, Kevin. Awesome and informative webinar. Thank you.
Actually, this is great. We've had loads of people. Normally, you get half the people who register don't turn up, but tonight we've had way over 50% of. I think we've had like 80% of the people or 70% who've registered have come on tonight, and everyone's still here. We've had a couple of drop-offs, probably gone for the dinner or a meeting or lunch, depending where you are. Awesome webinar, guys and girls. Can see your expertise. Thanks, Sam. That's the thing with these webinars. Like, they can be really boring unless, hopefully with Ron and I, because we are in TV, we try to make it a little bit more on the presentation side. We try to big it up a little bit, don't we, Ron?
Yeah.
Oh, Jean said great webinar as well. Gillian, thank you very much. It's great to have you on the course. Gillian said it's very energizing. Yeah, that's what I want my clients to be like as well. I mean, now I'm looking at the screen because I'm looking at the questions.
You know,
really, you want to be looking in the camera.
One of the words that stands out from somebody that you've trained, I can't remember who it was confidence. And it's
Catherine.
really about having confidence, isn't it?
Yeah.
And firstly, right off the bat, the confidence to say, actually, you know what? I think I am an expert, you know, instead of second guessing yourself, thinking, oh, that couldn't be me. I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Having that confidence is really important, but that comes with ultimately comes with training, I think, you know.
Definitely. Training, somebody bringing out the best in you that you haven't seen in yourself. Somebody working on your weak spots to make them better. So, you know, just actually really what I do is just make people even better so that they can succeed more. You know what I mean? That's what I do. So I don't because my PR experience is really important. So I'm not just a journalist that wants you to get on air. I want you to increase your reputation as well. So that's why if I was an expert, I would hire me because I'm not just going to get you on TV and then ruin your reputation. You're getting somebody who's a marketeer. You know, I've got a marketing degree, business degree, PR degree. So I'm all about increasing your reputation, not just getting you on TV, which I can do as well. Right?
Your approach is very strategic, though, Kerry, isn't it? But you've also got that solid journalistic background, so you kind of short circuit things a bit. You kind of know straight away that's a story, that's not a story, that needs to be pushed up, you know.
Yeah.
And kind of how can you brand experts to make them sizzle and get the interest of TV shows.
Absolutely. And even PR agencies hire me as an expert, you know, if they want me to train their PRs. Like I said, it's not a skill that everyone's got. That's why if you guys learn it, you're actually going to be one of the few people in the country that know this stuff. Like even PR people don't know it. Really. Okay, the PR people that are looking after the royal family, Boris Johnson, Joe Biden, they know it. But most PR people, I mean, one company that does it, two companies, Schroders, they do it really well. They get on TV a lot. And then what's that? KPMG, they go on TV really well on the back of finance stories. Yeah, they do it well. But I'd say majority of companies definitely don't. So like when I was a journalist at BBC News, I was told I had like two different examples. I was told I was working on a technology story, and I just thought, okay, well, I'll just go find a technology journalist as the expert. I didn't even know that Accenture were the biggest one of the biggest companies in the world. $47 billion turnover. They've got like 10 banks, global banks to do the technology for, 9 global retailers. I didn't even know that, but that's because the PRs aren't doing the broadcast PR, they're just doing the print mainly. Then there was another story again. I was working on the death of the high street, and it was all about, because there was a recession, the high street's now mainly coffee shops, it's charity shops, it's changed. This is a few years ago. Again, I thought, okay, I'll just get an estate agent on, or a property journalist. I didn't know about Jones Lang LaSalle, the biggest commercial property company in the UK. They're not getting their clients on the back of property stories. So this skill it's not a skill that everyone knows. So it can really benefit you. You know what I mean? For life. Okay, so Fergus says that's my favorite aspect of Kerry's personality. Which bit was that though, Fergus? What did you say, Ron?
But I think it's your enthusiasm. I think it's your genuine enthusiasm for what you do, Kerry. Always comes across, by the way. I have to say, but it really is your knowledge. I like the fact that it's for me. If I was, say, if I approached you and I was looking for a guest for a show, then I know that you'd be credible. But also, it's coming back to the fact that you're a journalist. Or initially a journalist, so you know what a story is.
Yeah.
You know what a good guest is on the show. So it's like, we'll give Kerry a call, especially if you're on a really tight deadline. You know how tight these deadlines are in television. If you're really struggling, it's like, call Kerry. Who does she know? I bet you she knows somebody. And
Yes.
you've got this sort of Rolodex of contacts as well, and it really helps. If on my side of the fence as a TV program maker, if I'm looking for an expert, but also as well from for your clients who need some leverage to get onto a show. And it's a bit of a labyrinth, really, trying to get onto a show, and who do I ask, and how do I, there's a lot of layers sometimes to get access to to be on the guest.
I know. Yeah, and also, Ron, when somebody's trying to pitch somebody into you, it's the same with me when I was a journalist. When they're using the lingo, you're like, oh, I feel a bit better now. This person knows what they're talking about. When they're using the industry lingo.
Right.
So I teach people the industry lingo as well. So even if they're complete beginners, the journalists won't have no idea. So they're more likely to take a chance on them. I mean, you know what I mean? So if somebody's talking to me, oh, SOT VT, Aston's, I'm like, oh, great. Yeah, just like this person ain't going to mess this interview up because they know what they're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about. Although I have to, for everybody in the US and Canada, when she said Aston's, we really mean Chirons.
Chirons.
It's different over there.
Okay. So Fergus is saying analytical, yes, persuasive and logical.
Strategic. That's the word that I would use. It's got to
be a strategy. Sometimes it means getting in print first, but I'll advise you all personally what I think your best way is. Gillian says, yeah, a BBC Academy lass said to me that lots of women have 90% knowledge but hesitate to be an expert, while men might have 10% knowledge yet think they are an expert. This is our chance. We have the confident ladies. Look, even Bambi's going to go on TV. Look at her. No, yeah, a lot of women. Well, partly the problem is because they haven't seen women experts on TV. It's only changed the last few years, the last 7 years. But actually even 7 years ago, it wasn't even 30% of the experts were women. It was way lower than that. So that's why people don't think, well, I can do this as well. That's one of the reasons. So that's why I actually approach women particularly. And I only approach women I think have got a chance of getting on air, because there's nothing worse than having a client that you can't help. I only want clients that I really can help, because I want everyone to get results. That's big for me. And everyone that does get results gets sent a bottle to celebrate in the post. Um, so yeah, I think it's just the fact that we haven't seen a lot of women experts. We don't think that we can do it ourselves, or maybe we get bogged down doing things another way. Doing Facebook ads or Google ads, or contacting people by email, when really there's another way of doing it, and that's getting on TV. Any more questions, anyone? We've had loads of questions tonight. We've still got quite a lot of people on, actually. Bill Graham's back. Graham, did you leave or did you come back? I feel like. Have you got any questions, Graham? Graham goes on Sky News a lot.
Oh, that's great.
Graham's kind of like what you were saying earlier. He's quite unique. He can give one-liners that most people, don't say on TV, because he's a presentation coach. So he trains politicians and people to be really good on TV. So obviously he then needs to be good on TV as well. He's quite quiet right now. Maybe he's sat watching TV, but he's just got this on in the background. Guys, any more questions? We've been actually answering questions for nearly an hour, but happy to keep going. Is anybody here on the call actually going to come on this course to, help the dreams come true? Is anybody going to do that? I mean, I know, Sam, you said you'd like to. Kevin, what about you? Julian's already on it. Fergus, when are you ready to launch, Fergus? When are you going to launch? Jean, what about you? Ron and I could help you break back into the US and possibly in other parts of the world. Anyene, we're going to talk this week. Patricia, we're going to have a video call.
Jean, you'll be great. You'll be great to work with.
Definitely sounds like you want to get back on air, Jean, especially if you've done it so many times. I mean, what can we say to people now, Jean? Like, you've been on TV loads. My clients say that they get a massive adrenaline rush for the entire day. They feel a massive sense of achievement. They obviously make more sales. They get more respect as well. Particularly women get more respect from men. They get in the law field, especially. So some of my female clients who are lawyers, they've said that men treat them differently. Now she's getting on TV. She gets more respect. Jean, what would you say are the top things from going on TV that you've got? Obviously, you want to get back on again, so there's got to be some positivity. So Jean's saying, credibility and an adrenaline rush. One of my clients used to go at 5 a.m. to get on the radio, and she had that much energy after she came out. She then went on to the gym 6 a.m. to get rid of it, because she just had too much energy and excitement. Okay, Jean, well, I'd love to have you on board. Men love it. Fergus says, remember my unusual medical story, recovering from neurosurgery. So I will want to be back in the fray for a year or so. I see. You want to get yourself a little bit better for a year. Okay. I would say don't leave it too long, though, because we're all getting older and you never know what's going to happen in life. That's why I'm buying my dream house, hopefully this year, rather than waiting even longer for the dream house. Like, I just don't know how. You just don't know, do you, what's going to happen? So just go for it now.
I think now is a really interesting time to kind of redefine who you are and what anybody that because we all have doubts about ourselves. Do you think I could do this? Am I right for that? I think because we've all been in hibernation for such a long time with COVID, we're coming out of it now. We're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. This is a great time to say, you know, I'm going to redefine who I am and I'm going to invest in myself. I'm
Yeah.
going to make that happen, you know?
Yeah, and people have got more time right now as well because they're not traveling to the office, they're not going out, right? I mean, we're not allowed to go out until June in the UK. So for me, last year, I turned down business because I thought, I want to do this course, I want to do this program, I want to do this training, this program. So then I had to get trained to do it at the top level, you know, to teach other people on I've taught people before, but not online. So I invested in myself and my company last year and spent 5 figures so I could be even better at training other people. Because there was actually basically nothing else to do apart from walk the dog. You know, we're in lockdown, right? And the good thing about TV is it's not affected by this pandemic. It will be for some shows that Ron does, you know, like your ones that need new shows. But for TV news I'm relating to and radio, it's still going on. You do the video calls from home. You just don't go in the studio as much. You know, radio can be done from your phone anyway. So life's still going on. So now's definitely the right time, I think. Well, I think now's always the right time. If you've, you know, it's about making a decision and sticking to it. I think that's what some people struggle with, is taking too long to make a decision. Again, on the course that I did, I mean, the guy, they make tens of millions on that course, but they said to make decisions quickly and then stick to it. So if a salesperson's calling you and you like avoiding it, just say yes or no. But you've made the decision, you can move on now to the next decision. So it's like this: the quicker you can make decisions, the richer you'll be, if that's what your goal is, to make more money. So that's the key thing, is just make the decision. Don't filter around the edges for years. I speak to people and they're like, I was on Sky 2 years ago. I really want to go back on again. Make the decision, make it happen.
Mm.
If you want to be more successful, or successful. The Naomi says, thanks for the webinar. It's been really interesting and useful. Graham says he's too shy to talk. Don't know why. Maybe he thinks because I'm going to put this on the internet. I actually probably am going to put this on the internet. Although this is a promo and I'm not going to be offering the same price, but there will be a few people who want to see this. Yes, exactly. People are going on Zoom and Skype. Life is still going on TV. Any more questions, anyone? Or are we all questioned out? Ron is here now, top TV producer. So Ron and I are working together. I put an ad out online looking for a content producer, and I had, oh my god, the people that applied for it were amazing, and obviously I picked Ron because he was the best.
Thank you.
And he's great to work with as well. So Ron is involved in this course as well, be training. So you don't just get me, you get Ron too.
Because
So
there's so
anyone
many,
got any questions for Ron now? Sorry,
so
Ron.
many options. It's, you know, there's news shows and you know, I don't really work in news and have that background. Kerry does. My background is more, you know, sort of, especially on the US side, daytime TV, which gives you lots of opportunities to guest in as an expert if you're a psychologist or you're a nutritionist, or, you know, you work with a, what you call, nail technician or whatever it is. All sorts of different experts are needed on daytime.
Yeah, and you know all the top hosts in not the hosts, the production team and all the daytime shows in the States.
All the daytime shows, yes. I don't really, I mean, I've not, you know, it's kind of funny because I've not worked in daytime recently. I've really heavily moved into reality programming. But you know, I always think of daytime TV a bit like, you know, once you've done battle in US talk shows, because they're pretty tough to put together. You know, you always stay on top of where everybody is and what they're doing now and what shows they're running. And it's kind of fun. But as you will know, Jean, yourself, it's a lot of fun doing talk shows,
Yeah.
and there's
And I think
huge opportunity.
really between us, we're only one separation away from someone anyway. And even if we don't know somebody at some show, we can get the door open. I
Mm,
mean, sometimes like I got 250 journalists to attend an event once, not just me, but I was leading the PR on that. So I was leading the team of, I think there was 6 of us trying to get all these journalists there. It was actually one of the biggest press launches in the world. And I didn't know all those 250 journalists, but I knew how to open the door and I knew what the angle was. So that's why I teach everyone else how to get the door open with the right approach. But for us too, I mean, we can just say, I worked at the Walt Disney Company, ITV, BBC. We can generally just get the door open because we've got the experience, can't we?
mm,
We're only one step away. If we don't know the right person, we'll know someone knows them. But it's just about the approach, really. Um, Yeah, so you know everyone in the USA, Canada in particular, and I've got the U. I mean, really, yeah.
we're pretty well covered, actually, aren't we? In
We can
terms,
go, yeah, we can go international because I've got
yeah.
people on TV in Australia, South Africa, New Zealand, China, India,
Yeah, and although
Italy.
I'm based here now, I'm still, I'm doing UK TV, but I also still, I have shows in Los Angeles. I'm still very much in the US market. I'm in the Canadian market as well. Yeah, but it's a small world, and now that we've got Skype, now that we've got Zoom, it's really changed everything.
Yeah,
And people have home offices. It's
absolutely. That's what I said to Gillian though. Like, if you've done a Roman discovery, you could be getting on Italian TV if there's a Roman ruin discovery in the UK. You have to think big, big like that. But sometimes it needs somebody else to give you those ideas, which is where we would
Mhm.
come in, right?
Yeah.
So, has anybody got any more questions? Because otherwise, me and Ron are just going to be chatting. And Jean, do you think you would like to work with Ron and I? I think you already answered that, didn't you? You said you would. I'll just give it. Ron, do you have anything more to add? I mean, in case anyone's got any more questions.
I just think that it's a timing thing at the moment. That firstly, there's so many more opportunities now. With streaming services opening up as well for guests and experts on shows, that the timing is actually really good right now. We've gone through a sticky period in television, with the exception of news, which Kerry pointed out. But for outside of news, it's been really difficult putting shows together the last 15 months because we can't have studio audiences. We have to have guest separations and all sorts of things. The timing now is quite good because we're starting to see an end to all of that now. And if you have the will to want to really be on television, then this is a great time.
Mm. Yeah,
Quite
that's another thing. Yeah, they're not only just looking for more women, they're looking for more, I think, minorities as well. They're looking for more people that are disabled. They're looking for people with accents. So actually, really, probably this is the most inclusive time in the entire history of TV, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
literally anyone can get on if you're an expert. Okay, not anyone, but it's not that easy. You do need the right training, but you know what I mean? Like the door's open, you just got to prove that you've got what they want, and make your expertise as best it can be. Um, so yeah, now's the time. Thank you very much for such an informative call. I will reschedule my call. That'd be great. Yeah, we'll have a chat. We'll have a chat. So I don't think anyone's got any more questions right now. You've all got the link, haven't you, to the promotion where you can save several thousand that ends on Saturday night. I've just sent it again. Analysts and attendees. Make sure you open that up now so you've got it, so you can make that decision. Make the decision. Well, I don't think anyone's got any more questions, so I guess we will depart. You're welcome, Gillian. Thanks for attending,
Thank you. It was
everybody.
great. It was great actually to have such a range of people today as well, from Britain and from Canada and from,
Yeah,
and didn't we have somebody from South Africa as well who's now in Wales? I think somewhere
yes.
along the line.
Yeah, he's
Very
a
mix of people.
eco kind of expert,
Yeah.
eco energy, which again, massively newsworthy at the moment. Massively newsworthy. I've just got one quick thing from Dawn. I'm a shaman and have worked worldwide helping people to succeed personally and professionally for 17 years. I'm an expert in personal development and leadership. What way do you suggest I go to promote my work? Again, that's like weeks of advice. I can't really just say it in. I don't like giving like flippant answers too much because that's not how you succeed. Um, For you though, Dawn, I know you've had a lot of success with children, so I would say that's one of your angles. There's a lot of stories on TV about children. That could be one of your angles. Um, I think you should go on the course, to be honest. That's what I think. But I would say that. But that's only because I know what your experience is and that some of it's newsworthy. Go. Obviously, you won't be able to get on TV talking about shamanism, but then again, there might be some kind of channels that do that sort of thing. Isn't there some sort of ghost channel or?
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily on the news, but if there was if somebody was looking for a guest on a certain type of reality show, or looking for talent to ultimately, we were talking before about it can lead to you having your own show. We're all desperate as program makers to find fresh talent, and let me tell you, I mean, I found Nick Uas from Blown Away on Netflix on YouTube, and he has his own show now. So, and that was a YouTube search.
What, you found him and now he's got his own show? Wow.
Yeah,
Did you
I
give him
mean,
his own
he's done
show?
TV before, but he was branding himself up as a sort of science YouTuber, and there
Yeah.
he was, and I thought he'd be perfect because there's a little crossover there with our show
Yeah.
about making glass and
I mean,
science.
yeah. That's another thing. You could get your own, series on YouTube. So when journalists are searching for experts, you're going to come up on page one of Google, and then they'll be like, "Oh, this person's confident on camera. They're obviously an expert in crime or whatever it is." So you could do your own YouTube series,
Yeah,
Dawn. But I think because of your children help, work that you do, then I think that's more newsworthy. But the shame, I mean, there's also radio as well. That's big. They might do
Radio
something
4.
like that. It's
Only because
not
I'm
woo
listening.
woo. I have doctors and psychologists as clients as well as lawyers and CEOs. I think it's maybe, yeah, about educating people what it
Hmm.
is. Um what it is a bit more. Um were you gonna say something else then, Ron, or?
No, just that, like I'm just thinking Radio 4 actually, because I'm listening to Radio 4 a lot at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And and this is also about doing radio as well, as
Yeah.
and that could be a natural, home for you, I'd have
Yeah.
thought.
Especially local radio to start with. I mean, you could go straight to national. I don't really know enough about your shamanism to be able to say, but um radio's big though. I mean, radio's quite often got more listeners than TV because everyone's listening to it when they're driving, aren't they?
But that's
Or
true.
when they're cooking.
Yeah.
So radio's massive. And what was it? Yeah, no, it's TV actually. There was one person when I was at the BBC, there was one person on TV. And then the radio were calling me to get her on Radio 4. And then BBC One editor was saying, I want her on my show. And then somebody heard her on Radio 4. And then they were like calling, can you get this guest on my show? So it all
Yeah,
feeds
how
in.
it works though. That's
That,
always how it works.
yeah.
It's kind of guest envy, really. It's like, they had her on the show. She was fantastic. Got to put her on the show. you know, and then it just kind of, after a while, it kind of starts to feed itself a little bit, really, doesn't it? And
Yeah.
the
And some,
opportunities will just come to you.
yeah. And some people might be big radio listeners, but they don't necessarily watch TV news. So you need to be getting on both, really, if you can.
Mm,
And in print and online as well, because I've got one client who's a psychologist. She goes in the metro once a month. She's the go-to expert. And on the back of going in the metro, she got the BBC TV phoning her, Stylist magazine, Elle magazine, Cosmopolitan, Evening Standard, like
right,
loads just
right.
from going on that one newspaper. So it does all feed into each
It
other.
really does. And sometimes as well, some experts have, they're on a retainer. So they have some regular income coming in because, there's an understanding that they're going to appear. I'm making this up, but Kerry, you'll probably be better with the numbers. There's an understanding that they're going to appear maybe, 6 or 7 times, in the next 6 months on as part of a panel discussion on their show, like Good Morning Britain, whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it looks like they're all the questions now. We've still got quite a lot of people listening in, but I guess no more specific questions. I mean, obviously, Ron and I could sit here and talk for 10 hours and be getting loads of advice. You still wouldn't know enough, to be honest. 20 years worth of experience. So I'm going to say goodnight now. No one's got any more questions. And obviously, I urge anyone who wants to get on TV to go on my program, just because you'll learn a hell of a lot more and actually get results. I think you can learn the odd thing from the likes of YouTube, Zoom webinars like this, but it's just not enough for you to succeed. Which is why I invested in myself and my own company, 5 figures last year, because it's the quickest way to get there. And then I got a return on my investment within 30 days. That's how quick it was, because it was the right decision, because I was getting coached by an actual expert rather than just spending hours looking at YouTube, doing the odd Zoom webinar, which would have taken me a lot longer to have got to where I wanted. And it actually took me a year to decide to go on that course. And I'm like, I wish I just decided quicker, but I needed the training to learn how to make quick decisions. So now my decision making just from going on that course is just like so much better. And so now I'm way more productive. And yeah, my company's doing well. It's gone up in revenue and profits the last few years, even during the pandemic, and everyone's happy, all my clients. So yeah, I mean, the course is, like I say, it's available for the rest of your life. As long as I'm in business, you'll be able to access it. So you know that I would like you to go on my course so that you can be actually getting on TV. But that's your decision. That's a decision you guys need to make. And if you make the decision that's a no, it just means you're not that bothered. You're not that interested in getting on TV, probably, which is totally fine. It's not for everyone. I'd like to thank Ron Carroll tonight for giving up his time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Ron,
Thank you.
for
And
sharing your
thank you everybody
expertise.
as well, by the way, for turning up to this webinar today too.
Absolutely, yeah. I was just gonna come to everybody else, but I wanted to say thank you to you, Ron, and thank you to everyone else tonight from tuning in from around the world. We will do another masterclass at some point in the future on something else. But no, thanks everyone for joining us. Do feel free to add me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and follow me on Twitter. I don't know if Ron accepts people on Facebook, but I certainly do.
I'm on Twitter as well, and what else do we have? I'm on Instagram and factandfriction.com. You can find out more about me on that website too.
Yeah, I'm at Kerry Hopkins TV on Instagram and Twitter. They're both brand new accounts, so I don't have a lot of followers, although some of my followers are TV journalists, so feel free to follow my followers. That's fine. They're just a small handful of people that I know. Right, guys. Well, I've really enjoyed having everyone here, and we will do another one in the future, and I hope you can all make it then too. Yeah, I mean, have a great afternoon or a good night wherever you are. Thanks so much for coming. Bye, everyone.
Bye.